Hello, everybody. Welcome to, and I'll pull this up a little bit more for the loudness. Welcome to another episode of the Midweek Mix-Up podcast. Of course, oh, Jesus Christ, how low is this camera? You're with myself, of course, the host, Wondering Dutch, along with my awesome panel members, of course, Xbox Mick, Boxenberger, and the General C. Of course, well, everybody comes in here, we will get the introductions going. First and foremost, General C, welcome back, brother. How are you doing today? What you been up to?
Much better, to be honest. I had a bit of a bad week last week, but took a break, came back, and feeling better than ever. Definitely needed to wind down. I hit a wall with burnout, I think, is what I did.
Yeah.
I just needed to switch off for a bit, so it's good to be back. I've been playing God of War, Sea of Thieves with you lot yesterday. That was a lot of fun. Today I traded in my PlayStation 4 and my Xbox One S, and I got a brand new toy. Also got a new controller for my dad as well because his Xbox controller broke. So
A brand new
needed a
purple
one.
toy.
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've been doing. I've been watching a lot of people play DayZ a lot lately, and I've reinstalled that on my PC. So I'm probably going to stream some of that sometime soon because that could be a pretty fun.
Is DayZ on PC Gamepass? Because it's on Xbox Game Pass, isn't it?
I'm not sure if it's on PC Game Pass. I know it's on Xbox Game Pass, but I've had it on Steam for years. Played it a little bit. Never really got fully into it, but I've been watching a lot of gameplay, and it's just made me want a good survival game. And I hear with mods, it's a really good experience. So I'm probably going to dip my toes into modding DayZ after I get a little bit of practice in that game.
Fair. Awesome stuff. And I know, of course, you've also, despite your better judgment, jumped into a little bit of Plague Tale, so we'll get your thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, I played the first chapter, and that's where I drew a line. I won't go any further because I still haven't beat the first game, so I couldn't resist. I saw everyone's photos online, and I was like, I need to get some photos myself.
Yeah.
So
That's fair.
I put a ton of photos out. I think it was yesterday or the day before. So yeah, that game is bloody beautiful.
Oh yes, yeah. We'll discuss that as well when we get into it. But next up, Boxenberger. I know you're feeling a bit worse for wear today, brother. But how are you and what you been up to?
Yeah, I'm a little hungover. Yes, I just told this story. I was out with a supplier of ours for dinner, and it was all professional. But on my way home, I met a friend of mine. He asked me to come to a pub for just one beer, and you know how the evenings go. So yeah,
it's never just one.
It's never just one. And I had to get up very early this morning, 5:30, and I had a big meeting at work where I had to explain our budget planning, and I was so incredibly hungover. Still am drinking tea and can't wait to talk about all the latest gaming things. So yeah, doing good.
Awesome stuff. And of course, you had the awesome review, spoiler-free review of Plague Tale Requiem as well. Of course, if anybody hasn't already seen that, I do urge you to go and check that out. Of course, after this podcast, if you don't mind. But definitely go out and check it out. It's awesome. Of course, you won't be spoiled because Boxenberger never does reviews with spoilers in, which is awesome. Means, of course, you can enjoy the review, enjoy his thoughts on the game without being spoiled about the actual progress of the story. But we'll get your kind of abbreviated thoughts on it, so at least not to spoil your review today as well.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah. Besides that, by the way, I've been playing a lot of Grounded lately again.
Yes.
It has something calming, right?
Did you see the post I shared to you?
Be in the garden and do stuff, building a base, trying to get to the pond lab right now. I have no idea how, but I'll get there. No, it's great. I'm having fun with Grounded, and of course, Age of Empires. Season 2 is coming to an end in a week, and I'm this close to finish off Season 2 in Platinum 1 rank. I'm still in Gold 3. I only need 7 more points. That means one more win, and I'm in platinum, and I want to do that. But whenever I'm this close, I'm getting ranked against some highly skilled player, and then you drop down, and it's so tough. People have become so good at the game.
Oh, yeah.
They really. It's tough out there, but still so much fun. I mean, I can't wait for season 3. A lot of great changes are coming. 2 new civilizations. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Definitely.
The next season. A lot of map updates and stuff. They really support that game really well. So
yeah, absolutely.
good stuff there.
Yeah, to be fair, I haven't played it too much recently. I do need to get back into it, but there's just so many games out, including Plague Tale, which, to be honest, this Plague Tale's really got us hooked, much more than the first one did. I don't know what it is about this one, but this one's just tremendous. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
It is.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting more into that myself. Mick, what about yourself, brother? What you been up to? What you been playing?
Well, I have been playing, obviously, Sea of Thieves. Did the adventure the other day.
Yes.
Quite good. Oh, it's getting interesting. It's definitely setting up season 8 for some interesting stuff.
Yes, it is, Mick.
And like yourself and the others, I've been playing a bit of Plague's Tale.
Yes.
Which is I'm finding it much. I struggled with the first one.
Yeah.
It just wasn't for me. It didn't go anywhere quick enough for my liking, and I fell off it and never really bothered to go back. So this one seems much more sort of quicker paced,
Mm-hmm.
and the weapons. That was my big issue. Was the slingshot was. I didn't enjoy the slingshot in the first one.
Yeah.
This one seems much better.
Yeah.
And I know that there's better weapons to come as well, so I stick with this one. I think this one's. I don't feel the need to go back and do the first one unless I get all the way to the end of this one and go, "Wow, I really should go back," and feel like I'll do, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, most definitely. And much like yourself,
and obviously see you Tuesdays as well.
Yes, yeah, and again, massive congratulations because Mick is now the host of Sea of Tuesdays Playcast, which is a new Sea of Thieves podcast. Of course, we used to just do Sea of Tuesdays, which was just ourselves playing Sea of Thieves every Tuesday. We changed that. Of course, Mick had a great idea, which was to change that into a Sea of Thieves podcast where we play with our guests. So, of course, we had our first Playcast episode last night, the first rebranded episode. Obviously, Mick hosting that first episode there with our awesome first guest, Debbie007, which was a community creator, does a lot of awesome Etsy products, or at least will be doing Etsy products at the moment, creating lamps and things like that, which is really cool. But yeah, it's a great start, Mick, and again, congratulations on the first episode. And yes, to a much appreciated and obviously a long road ahead with awesome guests that we know we've got lined up.
Yeah, so we have now confirmed our second guest, which is going to be Lutin Lizaru, who is a deckhand on the Sea of Thieves forums, and she's also the creator of, I should have wrote it down actually, the lantern that I had made, and she makes many things Sea of Thieves based, and they're all amazing things. So it's going to be really good to see. I've met her a couple of times now at Sea of Thieves Fest and at EGX.
Yeah,
she's a lovely person. Looking forward to playing online with her and getting to chat.
Absolutely.
Chat with her as well about everything that's going on.
Absolutely. And again, much like yourself, I've been playing, well, much like Bok, a kind of combination of everybody. I've been playing a little bit more grounded. I played, set up a solo game and decided to build a fort, or at least attempt to. And then I was kind of dismayed when I seen this unbelievable fort that I shared with all you guys yesterday in the DMs, where it was this wild castle that someone had built. And I was just like, holy shit, have you seen this detail in that thing?
To be honest, that embarrassed me because it made me think of my house/base that isn't even complete, doesn't even have a roof on it.
Yeah, mine is also very pragmatic. Yeah, it's got everything you need, like all the stations that actually give you equipment, but not really much more. Actually build a second base. I found it makes much more sense to spread out multiple bases across the map rather than just invest all the time in building one super gigantic one.
Yeah.
So
build one big one and then just connect it with 5, with the zip lines everywhere. So one up, one down at each end, so you can get both ways. That's what I did.
It's a good plan. It's a good plan.
It does make the whole map look like it's got hundreds of spider webs going right across the thing,
Yeah, it solves the missing fast travel. Yeah. Good stuff there.
Yeah, 100%. But first topic is going to be diving into our impressions of A Plague Tale. And to do that, of course, and just discuss all of our other topics, I have recorded some gameplay footage from Plague Tale as well, so people can enjoy watching that whilst we're talking about our impressions and other topics. So I'm just going to quickly transition over to that. Let's go back onto here quickly first. And then we go to... Boom. Right. So, of course, you guys won't see it, but the other chaps definitely will. So, yes, of course, the Plague Tale Requiem, of course, came out this week. And I wouldn't say it's critical acclaim, but it's definitely very good scores across the board. Apart from one, we know that some PlayStation users specifically have had some technical issues, some bugs, some performance issues, etc. on that console, which has brought down scores for that particular platform. The other debate, of course, was the difference in the frame rate, which, of course, is 30 frames unless you've got 120 hertz monitor capable of VR or FreeSync, G-Sync, in which case then it goes to 40, 45 at a push. Of course, with motion smoothing, etc. So it kind of feels a little bit more smooth than 30 frames. That aside, though, very impressive game so far. I'm going to dive into my thoughts last, but I want to get the panel's thoughts first and foremost. And Boxenberger, of course, you had the privilege of reviewing this game early, playing this game a week or so before everybody else. Very jealous, of course, at the time because you
was teasing you a lot.
Yes, teasing me quite a lot. With a lot of screenshots, not footage, thankfully. Otherwise, it would have been even more teased. But lots of screenshots, and it looked beautiful. And thankfully, it lived up. It very much lived up to the screenshots that you'd showed me. But what are your impressions of the game? How do you view it compared to the first one? What kind of things do you think are the biggest differences compared to the first one as well?
Yeah, so I loved the first one. I don't understand what Mick is talking about, but hey, it's cool. Not every game is for every gamer, man. No, I really enjoyed the first one, and I thought the second one is a step up in almost all regards. I mean, the core gameplay mechanics are still the same. It's basically a stealth action adventure, and with a few combat scenes. But yeah, the combat feels a lot better now. The sling shooting is way more precise, and they added a couple of other weapons as well that you will not gonna spoil anything. You will find them during the story, of course. So yeah, the combat got a lot more diverse. There are these sequences where you have where you will just get rushed by a lot of enemies, and you have to kill a lot of them, and then you have to really make sure you use everything that the environment offers in order to succeed. Otherwise, you will run out of ammunition and stuff. And these kind of elements really do bring this game to another level. The most impressive thing, though, is the level of detail that they have put in this game.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, graphics-wise, it's amazing. It looks fantastic. They made their own proprietary engine for that game, and it's stunning. It's one of the most beautiful games I've played. But when you, for instance, go into a city and you have that medieval city and you look at all the details that they have put in creating a believable environment, it's really impressive. It is. You walk through these medieval markets. You hear the people talk about stuff, and then you walk around the next corner and you end up in the butcher's district, and everywhere is blood on the floor and gore, and then you have like parts of in I don't know, some musicians playing something, and people just dancing to the medieval music, and it's the level of detail in this world, in everything, is just amazing. It's Asobo has really outdone themselves. The story is also super well paced, where you have like big action sequences, get chased by hundreds of thousands of rats. They take down entire cities behind you, and then you end up in the next chapter, and everything is smooth, and there's really not much going on. You're a little bit talking, and it gives you time to relax and breathe again before all hell breaks loose again. And the pacing is just incredible of this game. I wasn't bored a single time. It's a pretty long game actually. They gave us reviewers an estimation of 15 to 20 hours, and it took me 18 hours. I didn't play it on easy. Of course, we only play it on easy. It's probably a bit faster. And if you don't look for all the collectibles and stuff, you can probably finish it at around 15, 16 hours. But that's a pretty long game for such a third-person action adventure.
Yeah.
And usually those games get then a little bit stretched out in certain levels or scenes, and A Plague Tale doesn't do that. The pacing is just incredible. Yeah, the moment-to-moment events are fantastic. The writing is good, except maybe sometimes Amicia, like after you killed 100 people, and she still talks after each kill about how much she hates doing it.
Yeah,
It's
3,000
kind of
kills
annoying.
later.
Yeah, I think she would be
Yeah.
desensitized especially from what she does in the first game to
Yeah.
some of the people.
Yeah. But yeah, also Amicia is gotten a lot more brutal, a lot more violence. She is a badass in this game.
Yeah.
And yeah, so man, I really liked it. I obviously we need to talk at some point about the ending.
Yes.
But I want you guys to finish it first, and then we have to have a conversation about that, because whoa, jeez, what an ending. And yeah, so overall, it's a fantastic game. It's probably for me up in the discussion of Game of the Year, honestly.
Yeah.
It's for me right now definitely a candidate that we will bring up. And honestly, outside of God of War, I don't see anything on the horizon. Maybe Callisto that could come up in that discussion. So yeah, it's really good. Definitely gave it a 9.4, and I stand by that. It's an amazing game.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. I was happy to see personally as well that, of course, you don't have for at least the very large chunk of the opening portion, you don't have Hugo with you. You have Lucas.
Yeah.
Who's a much more competent sidekick, should we say? Doesn't moan as much. He kind of helps you a lot. He encourages you, as opposed to like Amicia all the time, like in the first one. You don't get that. Lucas is far more, should we say, grown up, which is good. It was a nice, refreshing thing, of course. And even Hugo in this one seems to be a bit more, should we say, relaxed than the first one, despite obviously in the first one he kind of whines a lot and whinges a lot.
Yeah.
One thing I did pick up on though, and quite a few people have, is they seem to have dropped the French kind of accent that they had in the first game. And
I
it's
was going to say
true.
that when it got to me.
yeah. Did you notice that,
Not
Boxy?
so much Amicia and Hugo, but more the surrounding characters, like the guards and all that. It's very Americanized, it sounds, more than
See, I
French.
noticed it more on Hugo and Amicia. I thought they sounded a little bit more, not Americanized, but very more English than French, should we put it? In the first one, there was a
Yeah.
noticeable kind of French accent on there, or at
Accent.
least attempting to. Did you notice that as well? Did you pick up on that, Boxy?
Yeah, it's noticeable. It's noticeable, but I don't find it actually too disturbing.
Yeah, same. To be fair, I
So-
what I mentioned to Jen previously was that it to me it felt like the acting improved because of it. I thought it was a little bit more
Yeah.
believable scenes, especially when they're kind of
Yeah.
talking to each other and interacting with each other.
That's the thing with these accents, you know. As much as they, set a certain tone, in terms of, well, you might understand a little bit more in which country you are supposed to be. It kind of annoys me most of the time, these fake accents. I had a similar discussion when the Super Mario trailer for the movie dropped, and everyone was complaining about Mario not having the Italian accent. And I was like, I don't want to watch a movie 90 minutes with a fake Italian stupid accent. I rather have him just a normal, regular voice.
It's okay when he's in a game and he's just making the odd little comment or a little cutscene.
Yeah.
But could you imagine that for like 90 minutes?
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
Yeah, I
So,
can imagine
yeah.
that being annoying.
oh yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say it actually because I'll get butchered.
Yeah, don't upset the Nintendo fanboys, whatever you do.
Yeah, I'm going to just shut my mouth there.
Yeah. So I noticed it. Didn't annoy me at all. On the contrary, I thought the voice acting was really well done.
Yeah.
I've said it in my review as well. Like in the first one, you could really tell the lower budget, where a lot of the lines were repetitive, and you don't have that feeling in this game.
Yes.
So in each area, Amicia and Hugo have different lines for, even if they do the same things, you know, like, I don't know, hide somewhere in tall grass or something, and the lines are still not, or at least they don't feel repetitive. So yeah, that's really good, man.
Awesome stuff. And General C, you've played a little bit of it. You haven't played much as yet. Of course, you weren't going to play it at
Only
all.
done the first chapter.
Yeah. But
I wasn't going to play it, but
Yeah.
I just saw all the pictures online. And I was like, I need to take my own screenshots. So I loaded it up. Played the first chapter, but I think I must have been on it for well over an hour, just like stopping every 2 seconds to take photos because how beautiful the game is. And like Boxenberger said, the level of detail is amazing. And taking screenshots and playing around with the settings to make the screenshots like pop even more. It's chef's kiss in the graphics department.
yeah.
Can't really speak too much on the story because I'm not really all that far into it.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you on the fact that Hugo is less annoying
Yes.
in this game
Yeah.
than he was in the first game because he was a bit of a pain in the butt, and that's understandable. Siblings are a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, it's a pretty good game, and once I actually get around to beating the first one, unfortunately it's no longer in Game Pass, so I need to pick it up at some point.
Yep.
And I will do that because I really enjoyed the first game. When I was doing my series Pass or Play, I gave it a must play, and I just never got back round to playing it because there were so many other games I ended up playing because I was distracted by those games. But that's not to say that the first playstyle's bad. It was a really good experience. Some really good voice acting there, and that is doubled down here. The voice acting is even better. As much as it does feel a little bit more Americanized, it's a hell of a lot better. You can hear the emotions in the tone of characters' voices. yeah, it's a stunning game. Looking forward to playing more. I wish I could speak more about it, but like I said, I haven't played too much.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair.
Oh, I will say one thing. From what I have played in the first chapter, it really feels like it's more. That first chapter is there to bring you up to speed with, if say you haven't played the first game for a while.
Yeah,
It's more of a. It recaps the gameplay cycle for you at that point.
yeah,
And obviously, after the first chapter, probably get the new weapons and such, which I already know of. There's a crossbow in the game, I think.
yes.
So, yeah, it's
That's the
really
one.
that first chapter serves as a refresher course in the game if you haven't played
Definitely.
the first one in a
I
while.
was going to say as well, the one thing I think the game does well is that it implements kind of teaching you how to use the weapons without it feel like a tutorial. It's kind of like, oh, right, this is what we need to do for these guys, and if we do this, then we'll do this, and here's what you need to make this. And then
there's one thing I do want to speak about in the gameplay department.
yeah,
There were some moments where I was like throwing stones at pieces of metal, and the character that I'm supposed to be distracting is looking completely the opposite direction from me. But he still like figures out that I'm where I am
yeah.
for some reason. I don't know how, but yeah, that was a bit annoying. But after a few attempts, it seemed to work itself out. I don't know if that's a bug or something, but it's that's the only thing I really experienced in the hour and a bit that I played.
Yeah.
That kind of grinded my gears a little bit.
No, that's fair. That's fair. The second, because obviously I started the game and then streamed the game. The first time I was playing it, there was no issues. The second time I was playing it, I had some minor things like that where you would know I was there, even though I hadn't thrown anything.
It was the exact point that you were at where
That
you're
door.
throwing the stone at the box of metal
Yeah.
to the left of you,
Yeah.
and the guy's like looking forward away from you.
Yeah.
And he kept like coming straight to me, like he knew exactly where I was. Like the game had got caught in this cycle of him knowing exactly where I was. But after a few attempts, it somehow
It just
fixed
cleared itself. Yeah.
So I definitely think that's a bug. It's got to be, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense for it to do that.
And then I had that other one as well, just after that, after the beehive section on the first part, where the guards were stuck outside of the open gate and they weren't moving. They were just standing there. And I was like, well, if they're bugged out, maybe I can just run past them and force it to go to the next section. And they didn't. They just killed us immediately. So, but it did mean I just refreshed just slightly up the hill, went back through again. It worked fine. So there's a couple of little bugs there, but nothing that can't be ironed out quite easily with a easy patch. It wasn't like game breaking. So yeah. Mick, I don't know how much of the game you've played so far, but what are your impressions of it so far?
Whenever I play a game like this, I always wish that we had a photo mode in Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
Because, like Jen just said, there was this. I took, like you, I got into that first. I think we can say like one of the first bits where you are the brother, the younger brother. What's his name again?
Hugo.
Hugo.
When you're in that first sort of dream sequence.
Yes.
And it's the Sea of Thieves effect. There's that water.
Oh God, yeah.
I say it every Sea of Tuesdays.
Yeah, and
I always say it once. The water
I know
is bloody
exactly
amazing.
what you mean, though. It is just like when you see the sea, there's just something about it, especially if it's done well in a game. You can just sit there and look at it. And,
the
wow,
water effects are done really well in this game as well. And I really wouldn't be surprised if they got some tips from Rare there, because it was amazing. Like I took way too many screenshots when you get to that first like bit of the water stream, and you have to like throw the stones at the pine cones. I took way too many screenshots there than I should have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I did a lot of that, and I do wish they put that in. We need a photo mode.
I sort of get why they don't do it with CFA.
Every game needs photo mode.
It's multiplayer. And it
Yeah,
would
but-
break-
Photo mode should be mandatory,
Yeah.
man.
It would just be the same as anything else. You can sit there and take photos as much as you like, but someone's still likely to go and kill you.
Yeah.
Tough,
yeah,
deal with it.
yeah.
Or
I
just,
mean,
or
how
just
they-
all it does, it could make. Well, to be fair, no, because they would have to kill you in a live service game like that. Because of course, if you did that, it would be a workaround to not killing you.
Yeah, I mean, how would they
think-
do it in a multiplayer game? Because in a single player game, they basically pause the game for you in that moment.
Mm.
You
Okay, so I'll tell you how
capture
they'll
everything
do it.
around you.
I'll tell you how they'll do it.
Mm.
We know that eventually we're getting custom servers.
Yeah.
And then when they bring custom servers, when you can specify, put me on this island with this ship in this time of the day with this weather effect, and you can change all those variables in the game, you won't get anybody else in the world because it'll just be your world.
Mm.
You won't be able to make any gold
Yeah.
because otherwise you'd be able to cheat.
Yeah.
But for it's not there. They've said that the custom servers, when they come, they're not going to be there for people to just go and do PVE
Yeah.
and just live in their own little world, because that would ruin Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
The whole point of Sea of Thieves is that ship on the horizon might be somebody coming to kill you,
Yeah.
or it might just be somebody fishing. You don't know. And
Yep.
it's that not knowing is what makes Sea of Thieves what it is. So when they make custom servers, you'll be able to do whatever you want, but you won't be able to make any money in it.
Yeah.
So that's when we'll get a photo mode, because it won't make any difference. You're in your own world, even if the game doesn't pause.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, because the only people that are going to be in there are the ones you invited.
Yeah.
So that'll be when we get it. But going back to Plague's Tale, I'm really impressed with the graphics. I noticed it seems to be in 30 frames.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a 60 frames mode.
Nope.
That's the only thing. Another thing that, like, other than the bug that I had,
Yes.
the small bug, the only thing that sort of peeves me about it is
I would say that it's not going to be as much of an issue with this game as it is with Batman, because Batman's more of a fast-paced. Not Batman, sorry.
Arkham Knight.
Gotham
Yeah.
Knights.
Gotham,
Just so you
that's the
can
one.
call them Batman
Gotham
games,
Knights.
but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's essentially a Batman
Yeah,
game.
it's
So
essentially yeah. So I think that game, I think it will be okay. I think it'll be all right. I don't think it'll be as bad as people think,
Yeah.
but I do think that this game doesn't suffer from it as much because it's quite slow. There's a lot of creeping.
yeah, there's
creeping.
definitely a lot of slow
So
moments.
the pace, because the pace is slower,
Yeah.
you don't notice the 30 frames anywhere near as much. So it gets away with it quite well. Batman, Gotham, I'll get there in the end. It's gonna struggle a bit,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's gonna be as bad as people think. But I think we'll probably get to that later on. But
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep. But yeah, overall impressions of the game so far. I know obviously we can wax lyrical about just how impressive it is graphically. It is an absolutely stunning game, to be fair. Probably one of the most graphically impressive games that we've come across this gen, if not the most graphically impressive one so far. You kind of expect no less from Asobo so far, because they've done some tremendous work. Again, specifically on the first game and then on Flight Sim. Awesome work so far, and of course this one just pushes that out another level with the level of detail on kind of the scenery and the effects and the characters, and it's just phenomenal to behold and great to look at. In terms of the actual gameplay and things that you've played so far, Jen, how far have you got? Not Jen, Mick. How far have you got into it so far, and what do you make of the gameplay? You mentioned, of course, you weren't too sure on the first one, but this one's grabbing your attention more. So, what is it about this one?
Like I said, the actual combat feels a bit more. It feels a bit quicker. It was a bit slow and a bit clunky in the first one. I believe it gets better as it gets on. The first one, but I don't know. I just didn't have the patience for it at the time. Maybe one day.
It's definitely more fluid, the combat.
Yeah, this one's definitely more fluid. It seems quicker, so you don't have to charge that slingshot up for quite
Half
as
an hour.
long before you before you can throw it and stuff. It seems a lot quicker and better to use. Obviously, we said, like you said, the graphics are fantastic, but um, I've only really gotten up to the end of the first dream sequence, so I haven't got very far into it.
Yeah.
But I haven't had a chance to play any more since then. So, but I am looking forward to going back. But it does feel like something I do want to play though, which is a positive.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome.
And Asobo, they to go from flight sim to making something like that, what a hell of a team they are.
Oh God, yeah, yeah.
They definitely need picking up by Microsoft.
100%. After this deal, ABK deal, they've got to turn their sights to Asobo and grab them.
Yeah,
if they can grab them. If Asobo want to be purchased.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. From what I've played of it, of course, I'm up to chapter 4 right now. I think there's 16 chapters in all. Boxy, is that right?
Probably.
Yeah.
I would have to look up, but yeah, 15, 16 chapters. That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm up to chapter 4 so far. Really enjoyed it. As mentioned, the combat does improve. There's a lot more things to use now. Things to extinguish the flames. There's things to set things on fire. Fire bombs. What the class? I don't know what the thing is. I keep forgetting the name of it, but it's kind of like a smoke bomb type thing that distinguishes flames. Extinguishes flames. Sorry. And a few other things, of course, the further you go on. I haven't come across the crossbow yet. I know which was advertised, and Box, you'll know all about that, and whether or not that's useful or not useful, or what you can do with that.
I'm not gonna spoil how you will find that one. Because it is one of the most epic moments in the game.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to that then. Also, the fact that you pick up these knives, I do like the fact that these knives aren't, you just don't carry one around all the time. Once you've used it, you have to find another one. It's kind of infuriating because you would think
it's really no spoiler, but I wish I knew that you need them for something else rather than killing people later in the game.
Okay.
So I highly recommend to not use them on enemies.
Okay. That's interesting to note. Okay. Right. Oh, is it for lock picking by any chance?
Yeah, breaking locks. For yeah.
Yeah. I remember
certain cards.
Yeah.
I think I don't think I spoil anything. There are certain cards in positioned in the world, and you can only open them with those knives.
Yeah.
And inside you will find crafting tools which you need to enhance your weapons and such stuff. And if you come across these cards that don't have a knife left, you can't come back because it's a linear game. Yeah, so highly recommend to always keep a knife on you.
Yeah.
Don't use them.
Absolutely. All in all, though, the game is much faster paced than the first one, as Mick kind of already has realised. And by faster paced, I don't mean the actual gameplay. I mean the moment-to-moment stuff. There's always something happening, or you're already going into the next kind of either puzzle sequence or running from rats or enemies that you have to avoid or take down. Or there's always something happening that's kind of keeping you on the edge of your seat. Which is far more than I think the first one was doing. The first one was kind of it was very slow getting into it, which I can kind of appreciate why some people might have been like, maybe it's not for me. But this second one's definitely got me far more excited, and the story's progressing really nicely, and overall it's an extremely impressive game. I'm very, very much looking forward to kind of getting more into it and even finishing it, and of course then we can get into whatever this ending is that Boxy's excited to talk about.
Absolutely.
But yeah, overall, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes into my Game of the Year contender list as well. Of course, see how good God of War is when that releases. But yeah, it's a phenomenal game, and hats off to Asobo because they've done some tremendous work, some really tremendous work. Absolutely beautiful. We have to talk about the audio as well. The audio is phenomenal, and the soundtrack is great as well. Really well done.
Yeah.
Building up the atmosphere. Really, really good. Another good thing about Asobo on this game, for any content creators, as we spoke about not too long ago with Metal Hellsinger, same applies to Asobo and Plague Tale Requiem. The soundtrack is copyright free, so you can stream it as much as you like with full blast, and you won't get hit by copyright strikes, which is awesome news for, of course, streamers and content creators. So you've got no issues and no worries there. You can play the game with all the music in full glory and have no issues. So hats off again to Asobo for that one. But yeah, overall, 100%, as you can see me on screen as it stands right now, taking photos as you do. We all took photos of the same place because it looks phenomenal.
I did exactly the same. I stopped, and then I even took a photo of the bird as well.
Yeah.
In a similar location.
Yeah. And Stuffed Sean says, I don't want to stream Plague Tale. I want to be selfish and play it undisturbed. I do not blame you. Phenomenal game. To be fair, half the time when I was streaming it the other day, I completely forgot I was streaming it. And I was just going through the motions, and I was like, right, I'm going to have to stop because I'm getting too far into it now. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, it's phenomenal. Really good. I just hope this is a sign of things to come, personally, from other games this generation. If other games this gen are as good as and better than this, we're in for a treat. We're in for a real treat. I think this is a real good kind of start.
I definitely think Asobo are up there with the likes of Naughty Dog, very close to being as big as a Naughty Dog Insomniac Games company.
Yeah.
The stories they can tell are amazing.
Absolutely. Yes. Awesome stuff. To go into the next topic, I think we'll discuss. We'll not discuss Silent Hill as yet. Of course, that's later on this evening. We've got the Silent Hill kind of announcement. So we'll see what that's all about.
Get my hopes up, honestly.
There has been some leaks.
Another horror?
It is.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like
it's
an
also
NFT
Konami. I was about to say that it's either NFTs or it's pachinko machines, and
2022 is just the year of horrors, isn't it? Wow.
Yeah, year of Konami selling NFTs exclusively on PlayStation. PlayStation stars.
They're welcome to it.
Is it too late to sell my PlayStation? I'm joking.
Yes, indeed. One thing I do want to discuss, though, is, of course, you mentioned Gotham Knights before, is the FPS debate. Now, of course, following both Gotham Knights and, of course, now the release of Plague Tale Requiem, both at 30 frames. Of course, Plague Tale Requiem has that prerequisite that if you have a 120Hz monitor, it will actually push 40 to 45. Of course, those monitors come with VRR, FreeSync, G-Sync, etc. So it smooths the frame out. So it is actually a bit smoother, a little bit faster pace. You don't notice it as much. But that said, of course, those without it, it is a 30 frames per second game. Now, of course, the debate there is in this gen with this hardware, should all games be 60 frames per second? Are you happy happy in certain circumstances if a certain game or games are 30 frames per second? What are your feelings behind the old frames per second debate? Does everything need to be 60 frames? Does everything need to have performance mode? Mick, I'm going to go to you first on this one. What's your thoughts on the whole frames per second debate?
I thought we were through with 30 frames. I thought that was it. We all upgraded to Series X's and PS5s, and I thought that's it. You know, after the last few games and the changeover period happened, it was all about giving us those 60 FPS updates.
Yeah,
and it was marvelous. I don't know. Recently, it just feels like we're taking a step backwards. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. I was listening to D-Batch and Dealer the other day.
Yeah.
And they had the best argument, which was literally the PC version. The minimum spec for the PC version of Batman is less powerful than Series S.
Yeah.
Dutch and I said the same thing on the
I
weekend.
put a post up about it.
And it can
Yeah.
and it can do 60 frames. Yeah, it doesn't look as good. You know what I mean? It won't look as good.
But that's the point. It's
why is there
scalable.
not an option.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's got, I think it's got ray tracing as standard.
Yeah.
What is? I mean, if you've ever played Minecraft with the ray tracing on your PC, you notice the drop in frames.
Oh yeah.
Straight away. It just dies.
Off a cliff.
Some of them that are really, really. I mean, they look great. Some of them are really good. You know, for Minecraft, you can't believe how good some of these worlds
Oh
look.
god, yeah.
But the better it gets, the worse.
The worse your frames get. Yeah.
I mean, I even tried the ray tracing on Spider-Man Remastered, and
how did that go?
Ended up turning it off 5 minutes later.
And that's because the PS5 has a software-based ray tracing version. So, and the Xbox has got a hardware-based, so it should be better. So it just baffles me to think, why can we not just have the option to just turn it off?
Yeah.
I just turn it off all the time anyway. I think there was ray tracing on Call of Duty Black Ops.
And
Cold
if
War.
you're talking, you're muted.
There's a simple answer to your question. And thanks for the heads up. Why don't we get it? Because the developers are lazy. That's all.
Yep.
It's
horrible
there's
to
no
say that, but
technical
you're right.
reason. There's no technical reason why it shouldn't be able to run at 60 FPS on consoles. These consoles are significantly more powerful than the minimum specs on PC, and they are more than capable of pushing 60 frames. Honestly, I've said this before. The performance mode is for me not the 60 FPS. Performance mode is the 120 frames.
Yeah.
That's the performance. 60 is the baseline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everything else is unexcusable. There's no reason other than time and effort that they put in these versions. It's weird with these Batman Arkham games. No matter to which game you look, there's always one version that has major problems.
Yeah.
Like Arkham Knight
A lot
on
of those.
PC.
Yep.
A lot of those Batman Arkham games on PC were tragically bad. I heard so many people complaining about them back
Incredibly
in the
bad.
day.
Arkham City on PlayStation, awful. Arkham Asylum on Xbox, ugh. It is so weird that you can look at all these games and you always have one version of the game, and this time it's the console version that just doesn't do the game justice. And I don't understand why. The consoles are very popular. Live to date sales for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series are better than ever. So market penetration is incredibly high for these consoles. And they ditched the last gen versions. They literally said we started this game as intended for last gen consoles, but when things got moved, we moved it to a cross gen, and then we simply decided to drop cross gen. That already tells you, okay, we don't have that the game was developed to be able to run on last gen hardware, but now they just said, we don't want to put in the effort anymore. We just focus on next gen, and now it turns out they didn't even focus on that. It's literally there's no technical reason why they shouldn't do 60 other than laziness.
Do you remember the Dying Light 2 fiasco?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same situation. They came out just before the game came out and said, we're not able to do a performance mode on the Series S because of the lack of power. And then
So
one
this
month later,
leaked about Gotham Knights,
one
didn't it?
month later,
Yeah.
1 month, they came out with a 60 FPS patch and fixed it.
Cyberpunk was the same. We have many examples where developers said we couldn't do this or that, and then a few weeks after launch, after everyone finished the game, they come out and patch them.
Yeah.
And that's the sad thing, because I really wanted to play Gotham Knights. It was my most anticipated game this year. I love the Arkham series. I truly do. And yeah, I could just get it on PC. But I'm not a PC gamer. I just prefer console gaming. And I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait, because waiting means I wait until we are talking about 23. And in 23, I don't have time to play these old games. I want to play it now. I have now the urge for a big AAA game. We only have 2 left this year.
Yeah.
Gotham Knights and God of War. Oh, 3. If you count Callisto.
Yeah.
I always forget about Callisto. Why is that?
Oh, what was
Because
funny
I
is the
probably
fact that
assume
they
it's not
came
open.
out.
Yeah.
They threw a bit of shade about 30 FPS. And announced that there's a 60.
Which
That
I
made me
love.
laugh.
Which I love that they did do that, because it's up to the gaming community to voice their problems with this shit. There's simply no reason. We had the push towards 4K with the last gen refreshed consoles, PS4 Pro and Xbox Series X. That's when we had the push towards a higher pixel count, and this time we had the push towards more frames. I'm actually having trouble saying more frames, because outside of consoles, frames were already 60 frames.
It was like the
bare minimum standard. Even on mobile games, you have like that
120 hertz
standard.
Yeah,
it's really you really have to search for a game on mobile that doesn't push 60 FPS. So even the OG Game Boy ran at 59.97 FPS.
You're going back
and
here
now.
now.
Discussing, yeah, and now we're discussing this again, and I'm really torn now what to do, because I don't want to support.
I would still get it.
Yeah, I know, because what else to play?
I don't think it's going to be a big enough problem for you. Trust me.
To be honest, with COD coming out tomorrow, the campaign early access, I'm not bothered now. I'll happily put my feet up and wait for the patch.
Yeah, but you will be finished with the campaign in 6 hours.
Yeah,
campaign.
True, but I can play again.
Yeah.
Then you have another 6 hours.
I'm veteran.
It's 12 hours.
Yeah. I didn't want to talk to Dutch after the stream about an idea I had.
Yeah, but I get it. I'm just not a Call of Duty guy, so yeah, I'm not. I like to play these campaigns, but I never buy them at launch, because I refuse to pay full price for a 5 to 6 hour campaign.
Yeah.
And since I'm not playing the multiplayer, I'm just not getting them. I wish truly that they sold these as a standalone version.
And they'll come to Gamepass, Boxy. It'll be all good.
Oh, will it though?
Eventually.
Will it though?
Eventually.
We have seen certain documents.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We were getting into that. We were not. I heard we don't talk about this on this show anymore.
Yeah.
Who
we have the World of Gaming for that tomorrow, Dutch.
We do.
We're gonna discuss everything there about Call of Duty and Game Pass.
Marketing rights for Gotham Knights.
I
don't think it's with a particular platform holder.
No, I don't think it is actually.
Then maybe it could go to Game Pass. If it was PlayStation that had the marketing rights, then I would say hell no.
Yeah.
I don't think that Gotham Knights is gonna come to Game Pass.
I was gonna say we've seen it happen before,
in
though.
6 months.
I could see
unless it sells really bad.
Just not, yeah, like you say, not just yet.
Yeah,
I wouldn't get my hopes up, honestly, for a lot of third-party AAA games in Game Pass next year, because Game Pass really doesn't need it. They have like a lot of second-party deals, like a Stalker, like a Wolong, like all these games coming. And then they have their first-party lineup as in terms of AAA releases.
I think there'll be some third-party stuff, but it'll be in the quiet months.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Honestly, I really don't think so. They
Not
didn't
as
put
much
much
as we had-
AAA stuff in this year, and this year they could have needed it, and they didn't do it. It was still a good year for Game Pass, but it was all indies, smaller AA games. In terms of AAA releases, what are we talking here about? We had Guardians of the Galaxy in February, and then we had like nothing until now, until Plague Tale. In terms of AAA releases, what came to Game Pass? So I wouldn't get my hopes up with AAA releases coming to Game Pass next year. I'm just saying, they don't need it. They have like each and every month 1 or 2 AAA games coming to Game Pass, but it's first party and second party deals. Don't expect these third party deals to come to Game Pass.
I don't
Just
know.
saying.
I get the sort of vibe that this game's a bit like Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's gonna fall in line with a similar sort of.
I agree
3 months later.
No, not with Game Pass, but I agree in the term of everyone was hating on Guardians up front, and when they played it, they had a blast, and I do have the feeling that this is the same. I think because every preview we have seen was like very positive. People were really surprised and how well the combat felt, how the story was presented, and all these things. I do think it's a good game. I just, but since there's really not much else to play, I probably will get it. Just debating with myself whether on PC or console.
Yeah.
But it's
get it on console. We'll team up, mate.
That's the thing. It's
I'm more than happy to wait. I'm more than happy to wait for a patch. It's not like I don't have much to play.
See, I don't have time for waiting. That's really the thing. If you look at what comes out next year,
but surely at some point there's going to be a gap where you could play it, and there might be
there's no gap. Next year, I don't see a gap.
There's always a
gap. But where do you see a gap?
There's always a gap.
There's never a gap. There's not going to be a gap.
There's always a gap.
We were saying that about.
To be honest, Boxenberger, don't count next year not being like filled with delays as well, because it could happen.
Exactly. We were having this conversation in 21 about 22.
I know.
So
but next year is
different. Our chickens just yet.
I don't hold my breath for next year.
My biggest worry.
I've got a backlog filled with games anyway.
Here's my biggest worry, though. Here's my biggest worry. What if these 2 games, Plague's Tale and Gotham, are just the start of these next gen only games that only come out in 30 frames, and I do not want to see the words 30 frames and fucking Starfield in the same sentence. Because I will not be. Going to be
There'll be a big uproar.
I am far too excited for that game to put up with 30 frames in it.
Todd Howard better be.
Todd has said it.
For another
he's
delay.
Okay with 30 frames, and it's
he's a 30 frames guy.
But we're not.
We're not. No, I don't think so. There will be a performance mode.
Yeah, it just needs a performance mode. Like, drop the ray tracing out and just lower some of the settings and just keep me in 1440p if you have to. But just,
honestly, I still have, in general, with Game Developers, the issue why they offer on consoles so less options for graphics and stuff. I get why they did it back in the days when every console had its proprietary architecture and whatnot, but now they run all on the x86 architecture. It's literally, there is zero reason why they wouldn't offer similar options like they do on PC. There's literally no reason why developers don't do it, and I really don't get why they don't do it. Because isn't it easier to just, like, this is the default setting for the casuals, and just give the hardcores like us the options on console, and if we turn up everything and then the game runs at 12 frames per second that's up to us. But I don't see why we have these default options like a performance and a graphics mode.
Yeah.
I want all the options.
Especially when they've even announced that the minimum specs for PC are lower than an Xbox
Yeah.
Series X and a PlayStation 5, and it runs at 60.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be much excuses. It seems like
It's lower than a Series S.
Yeah.
It's really there's no reason if you can on a 10. I think the minimum, if I remember correctly, was a 1060.
1660.
1660 Ti.
1660 Ti, right?
It's like 4 generations old.
Yeah.
4G, yeah, that's like 6-year-old graphics card.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
at least
it was the low tier graphics card 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have the CPU is low. It has only 6 threads. It's a 6 cores, 12 threads CPU. So you have a better CPU in the Series S. It doesn't require an SSD. You have that in the, and it needs less RAM.
Yeah.
The Series S has 8 and it needs 6 gigs. So that's the minimum spec, and it runs at 1080p 60, of course on low detail, but still, there's no reason.
Yeah.
Laziness, and that's all.
Yeah. So I mean, what's my thoughts overall on the whole frame rate debate in general? Anyway, is, of course, first of all, I agree with Boxy when it comes to the options available now. They are essentially PCs housed in console boxes. They are all x86 architecture. They're all running this. It's not like the PlayStation 3 and 360 generation where it was on 2 entirely different architectures. You had proprietary for PlayStation and X I don't know what it was, X64, X32 for Xbox or whatever it was. But they're both on the same now. They're both identical. So there's no excuses as to why you can't give the same PC options on console. Whether or not it's as easy as that on the development front, and whether or not they can't just make the PC version on console and then just optimize it from there. But even then, as Boxy was saying, give the options if we want to really hammer into it and push the consoles so that the frame rate is unbelievably broken and really low, like 10 frames because everything's pushed to ultra on everything with ray tracing at full blast. Then let us make those mistakes. But let us make those tweaks. However, if we imagine, obviously it isn't the thing anyway, but take that out. Take out the performance mode thing on purely a game type basis. The only time I don't mind 30 frames is these single player kind of adventure games where it doesn't involve high levels of combat, like a Gotham Knights would, where you're constantly fighting and things like that, or a racing game where you need higher frame rate in order to make sure it feels great and it performs well and the cars handle good. Like there's certain games that do require a 60 frame, like absolute bare minimum 60 frames. All shooters need 60 frames. All racers need 60 frames minimum. All action games need like actual action games with lots of fighting in. Fighters need 60 frames. Combat heavy games need 60 frames. But when you're looking at things like, for instance, Uncharted or a Plague Tale, for instance, where it is, in terms of the actual pacing of the game, it is a lot slower and a lot more fluid. They're the only times, but even I can see Boxy shaking his head, but that's the only times. I'm not saying it's acceptable, but it's the only time where I am more forgiving when it's 30 frames. However, obviously the baseline should be 60 now, because we know the hardware can do it, and I found it ultimately laughable when they were saying, oh, it can't, we were having issues with the consoles, and to get the best untethered multiplayer kind of game we could do on this game, we had to lock it at 30 frames. And then we saw the minimum recommended specs for PC was a 1660, and I was like, really? Like, so your excuse is the consoles can't handle it, but the lowest denominator out of consoles and PC is the PC, and that runs at 1080p 60 at low. Now, if that's the case, and the lowest common denominator is PC's lowest setting, which still runs at 1080p 60 on low, you would think then that Series S could get 900p 60 frames. It doesn't have to be 1080. 900p 60 with medium to high settings, because it can be done. Not only do these consoles have, specifically the Series S and the X, have dedicated ray tracing cores anyway, outside of their regular cores. So they've already got cores spare for RT. So there is no excuse that it doesn't have enough overhead GPU to handle ray tracing and the regular graphical performance, because they have separate cores for ray tracing than they do the actual overhead GPU in general. So they've got that separately. The CPU on the Series S is as good as the CPU on the PS5. So CPU's not the bottleneck. The GPU's not the bottleneck. It is, as Boxy said, purely down to developer optimization laziness. It's just optimization. Don't try to... The problem with a lot of developers these days, and what happened after that discussion, was that developers were coming out saying, "Oh, you can't criticize developers." Well, absolutely you can. Like, of course you can. You can criticize their decisions. You can criticize the fact that they're not doing what they can do, and then also essentially treating a lot of the consumers as if they're dumb and they don't know technology. Just because we don't know the ins and outs of developing a game doesn't mean we don't know the technical requirements in order to run a game on a system, or what the lowest common denominator out of two systems is. When the Series S is running an x86...
If you go to a restaurant, you don't need to be the chef in order to criticize the food if you don't like it.
Exactly. Exactly.
You don't need to be the chef to know that it's cooked.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
Exactly.
That's funny.
It is. It is a great mentality, and of course you don't need to know. You don't need to be a mechanic to tell you that the car's faulty, or you don't need to be working in a petrol station to see how high the prices are. There's so many different things. Of course you can comment on it. You don't need to be in a certain profession in order to know about it and criticize people for their decisions. It's, to me, what they kind of, especially this, because it was a Reddit, their subreddit or whatever it is for the game itself, and to me it came out like as if gamers are ignorant and kind of don't understand technology. Oh, well, we can't do it because of X, Y, and Z, and these consoles, blah blah. If it wasn't for the fact that we could see the minimum requirements on PC, it probably would have been like had been able to get away with that comment. But those minimum requirements are available. We can see them. And anybody who's ever made or built or created a PC and has ever tried to get a PC running and has worked with settings for many, many years knows that ultimately the bottom line is that the lowest common denominator is the PC. If the PC can hit 60 frames, even on low settings at 1080p, then the console can hit 60 frames. Consoles that are far more powerful than that of a 1660.
It's not just that.
I wonder why.
It's not even just that. Is that the Series S is one flat set of parts.
Yeah.
So it's much. We know this. We've had many devs in the past say that it's so much easier to make games for consoles.
Yeah.
Than it is for PC, because they have one GPU, or even if it's like two or three versions, it's only 2 or 3 versions of different setups.
Yeah.
And that's it. Whereas on PC, you've got AMD, you've got Nvidia, you've got, Intel chips, you've got, there's just so many variances.
Yeah. I just think
it's so much easier to not just make the game, but to improve on it and make it run more efficiently.
Yeah.
Because you know what that person has got inside the device.
Yeah. I think what they need to stop doing going forward as well, I can appreciate if, for instance, if we have a look at what CDPR are doing with the brand new 4090 graphics card from Nvidia, on that side, we absolutely know that the PCs, because the PC has both the bottom end, i.e. the lowest common denominator currently, but it also has the highest end common denominator. it has both in the same space.
Yeah.
So devs themselves have to make the decision on PC what they class as the lowest common denominator. So the issue is they need to stop blaming consoles as the lowest common denominator when they're currently producing
supporting
lower
a
on
graphics card
PC.
from 4 generations.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's entirely for them. It's stop scapegoating the consoles. If your game, for instance, is like the top end Cyberpunk 4090 Zen 4, RDNA 3, DLSS 3 version on PC, and which absolutely cannot run on console at 120 frames in 4K with ray tracing, like I understand, right? These consoles can absolutely not do 120 frames Cyberpunk with ray tracing, all bells and whistles, ultra. It's not a thing. It's not possible. These consoles are a league behind that. But that isn't the norm. That isn't the norm. The current industry norm is still below that of the Series S, the PlayStation 5, and the Series X. The absolute baseline of the industry is still below that. And they haven't maxed out the capabilities of the 30 series graphics card yet, or the capabilities of Zen 2 or Zen 3 processors. So until they get to that stage and it's absolutely pushing the maximum, then the devs, as Boxy rightly pointed out, have no excuse as to why, other than the fact that it's time and optimization and laziness ultimately. Whether it's laziness in full or whether or not the hierarchy is making a decision to intentionally not give them the extra time to optimize to make sure the game has a performance mode, that's two different discussions. It could be one or the other. It could be that devs are making the excuse for the hierarchy, who have told them you're absolutely not getting the extra time to make the performance mode before launch, which is why we've seen games like Dying Light come out with 60 frames, like the CD Projekt Red come out with 60 frames, and all of those post-launch, because then they've got the additional time to provide post-launch support. But pre-launch, it's one of two things: either devs being lazy and not putting that performance mode option and not putting the time in, or hierarchy not giving them time and saying nope, you're just pushing out what we can do before launch and worry about the rest later. What do you think, Jen? What do you think ultimately is the reasoning behind this? Are you muted?
It's like Boxenberger said, really, when it comes to Gotham Knights, it seems like it's laziness. The fact that the lowest, like one of the lowest specs for PC, minimum specs, is less powerful than a Series S. It really says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it comes down to laziness, probably mainly to deal with the fact that they were running out of time to optimize it, and they can't delay it again.
It makes you
Probably
wonder
because
as
Warner
well,
Brothers is
though.
at their back.
I was going to say it makes you wonder. Up until a couple of months back, they still had the previous gen consoles as the lowest common denominator.
Yeah. And what's funny is this leaked, right? It wasn't actually announced by them until it got leaked.
Yeah.
So what were they going to announce this?
No,
What, the day before, or
would
just
never
were they
announce
going to
such
just
a
release
thing.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just released
weird.
that. Now you have that discussion up front before the game comes out. We would have all pre-ordered and bought it because we would all naturally assume there's a 60 FPS performance mode. So they would never announce that. No one has ever announced up front, hey, we're not gonna do it.
Yeah.
You just stay quiet about that. I wonder a different thing
kind
though.
of messed up. That is the sort of stuff that should be announced weeks before the game comes out, so that people know.
Yeah.
Because some people don't play 30 frames per second because they're so used to 60 and above, and the fact that like going back actually affects some people by making them feel a bit nauseous.
Yeah.
So I don't get it. I don't get what they were thinking. Why not announce this yourselves and come out before the backlash is on your back? Because they wouldn't, like Boxenberger said, they wouldn't have announced this before the game comes out. And they would have got the backlash after. So there would have been a lot of people probably refunding this game because of that.
Yeah.
I mean, we all saw Marion the Mad cancel his copy, and they actually put his tweet in an article. I can't remember the website that took his tweet in an article, but 8,000 people liked his tweet. So that says a lot, really. 8,000 people agree with the fact that Marion cancelled his pre-order.
Yep.
And that's just 8,000 people that saw the tweet and liked it.
I was going to say, let's face it, Marion, and obviously no offense to Marion, but we are, in the grand scheme of things, pretty small-time accounts, like 3,000, 4,000 followers. If you have a look at the overall port, and if he's only got 4,000 followers, and 8,000 people have seen that and have liked the tweet, which was an indication as to, yeah, if this is the case and it's like 30 frames, then I'm not going to get it. And they think that, or have the same thoughts, and that's a very small percentile. But if you enlarge that scale a bit, there's a lot of people going to be pretty pissed off with it, especially people who have bought these next-gen consoles expecting next-gen performance.
Yeah.
Why does no one of the platform holders, PlayStation or Xbox, make a 60 FPS mode mandatory? They've done it before during the 360 days. Xbox required a minimum resolution of 720p.
Yeah.
So you could make it mandatory from a platform holder. You have to support at least one mode.
Yeah.
That is 60 FPS, and then you can have that graphics mode if the developer chooses to. But I would actually like that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. A mandatory.
I wonder if that's down to some sort of not wanting to put pressure on devs as a company, because they don't want them to then go, well, they're making us do this, so we're not going to go there. We're going to go over to the other guys and you do it for them instead, because they're not. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think it's a good point from Boxy. I think both PlayStation and Nintendo, not Nintendo because they don't care, PlayStation and Xbox do need to kind of set that. The problem with that is that PlayStation probably won't. They've got their own things that they want to set as mandatory, such as not putting games on Game Pass. But outside of that,
can't mandate too much. Yeah.
They don't mandate They don't mandate the things that are going to benefit consumers, and that's the problem. But we need PlayStation and Xbox essentially to mandate. You need at minimum a 60 frames performance mode, minimum. If you can do more and get 120 frames mode, brilliant. But minimum 60 frame performance mode, and then go for your graphics mode at 30. Fair enough.
By now, 60 should be the standard.
Yeah.
Anything less shouldn't be acceptable.
Yeah. Like, we understand, because essentially one of the reasons they were saying was, of course, not only the untethered world, but of course they wanted to go for graphical fidelity and have ray tracing and the best kind of visual spots. We'd all love that in an ideal world. Do that, but there is no reason why you can't have a secondary mode at 60 frames without ray tracing, without the highest level of fidelity, and without the highest resolution.
Personally, I don't understand why they decided to go for this untethered world for co-op, where you
pointless.
Can run off to the other end of the map, because majority of people, they're not going to split up from their co-op buddy. They're going to stick together, play the game together.
Yeah.
Not running off doing two separate missions.
Yeah.
Come on, be real.
Seems a bit odd, doesn't it, when you think about it? Because
but
you're
even
play one end of the map each,
you're playing a co-op game. At that point, you might as well be playing a single-player game.
Exactly. You might as well just be in party chat, playing the game together in your own worlds.
Yeah.
It don't make no sense.
And even that, like, you've got, and for one thing, we're going to shout out Halo, but even Halo's tethered co-op is 350 meters or something in-game. It's a hell of a distance. Like, you don't realize it until you're in game and you see how far away your co-op partner is away from you. But that's a significant distance when you're one part of the map to the other. You don't, like, tethered doesn't mean that you can't go to a certain distance. You can still have a tethered co-op experience, which works and performs well, and still have a significant enough difference away from each other on the map so that you can do separate things. You don't need it untethered so that you've got entirely different. Like, he's literally 2 miles down the road doing an entirely different mission to you. Because, again, as we mentioned previously, that would mean that essentially you're playing two separate solo games in one co-op environment. Like, what? Then you may as well be playing alone. Like, you may as well just play the game solo if you're not going to be co-oping, which is cooperatively playing together and doing the same thing and doing the same mission. It kind of avoids the issue of actually playing together.
Yeah, the whole two missions thing, like your co-op partner can be off doing one mission while you're doing something else, makes no sense really in any co-op game.
No.
It just seems so odd why they would even think that would be something people are interested in.
Yeah, and if they wanted to go down the MMO route, then that means that you're going into two separate instances, for instance. So when you're leaving that particular section to another, then you're no longer in that game world, but then you can rejoin that game world simultaneously.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of
that's still a tethered
co-op game, you would expect, like, if one of you starts a mission, it would then bring the other player that didn't start the mission to where you are, so that you're both in the specific point at the same time doing the same mission.
Yeah.
I honestly don't understand why they thought that was a good idea to separate each player and have them do their own things.
God
really
knows.
seems odd.
God knows.
Unless there's a reason, unless there's something in the game that requires two people to do stuff.
Unless it's their engine. I wouldn't be surprised if it's something to do with the engine they're using. What engine is Gotham Knights on?
I think it's their own engine, isn't it?
I'm not sure. I have no idea.
Let me find out.
Yeah, it's a bit. It probably is their own engine, I would imagine. And if that is the case, potentially maybe don't going forward. If that's the performance you're going to get out of it, because it's quite obvious that Unreal allows you to get more performance.
It's an Unreal 4.
Unreal 4.
It's an Unreal 4.
Oh, that's why. Move the game to Unreal 5. We've known from developers it is quite a quick process to do it, and the overheads in performance is more than 50%. I know, because every developer that's moved from 4 to 5 has told me how good the performance jump has been. Like, significant increase in performance in loading the world in and loading assets in. Like, I don't understand why they're still pushing this game out on 4 when 5 would give them such a boost.
Yeah, probably. I think like a lot of these developers where we had heard that it's like a good weekend to move over.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is true for all games.
But even if
honestly, if you have a certain scope,
I was going to say, even if you extend that though, like indie games, a weekend to move it over. If you extend that to 2 weeks for a AAA to move everything over, 2 weeks is significant. That's a significant amount of time to move over from one engine to another. And when you're a AAA developer with a lot of people able to help move everything across properly, 2 weeks is a significant amount of time, and I think that's a doable. You could push the game out 2 weeks, move it to Unreal 5, get those performance boosts, push the game out. There we go. We know the benefits because we've heard it firsthand of the benefits of performance, even on small scale games. Never mind large scale. There's a reason why developers are switching to Unreal 5, and it isn't just for the fidelity.
Unreal 5 is the future for Unreal games, no doubt. Yeah, it's just weird, these decisions around Gotham Knights. I really don't get it because they have like a gigantic IP at hand. Batman is one of these pop culture figures, you know Batman around the globe, and you know Robin all around the globe, and it's really weird that you handle your IP like that, because the game now has nothing but bad press.
And for that to come out a week before the game comes out as well is pretty damaging.
Yeah, and especially not to state an official, like a PR statement on it. If this stuff leaks, okay, bad luck. But the reply we got was from a developer in a subreddit thread. That's not how you reply that. You put out an official statement written from a PR person, to kind of, I don't know, phrase it a little bit better. It is what it is. I've seen a lot of apparent tech familiar guys say, yeah, we should better get used to 30 FPS on these consoles. And I was like, literally, who thinks that a Series X or a PS5 is not capable enough of pushing 60 FPS as a standard?
I think the guy that you're mentioning has actually removed his Twitter account because he first of all, and I will state this, and I had to have a rant about it on the weekend edition as well. This guy was a character artist. So he wasn't an immediate developer. He wasn't someone who worked on the technical aspect.
He wasn't actually a dev, wasn't he?
Yeah. He wasn't.
You're referring to that guy? No, I've seen people from the community literally just posting that.
Oh no.
And it's like I don't think that anyone should settle with 30 again this gen. That's literally not the thing. We're gonna have a discussion tomorrow, of course, a little bit deeper if we need an enhanced console in order to push it. But it honestly, the Series X and S and the PS5, we haven't really seen what they can do.
Yeah,
we just have not. And for us to settle already with 30 again, it's just ridiculous, and we should speak up. And one last thing.
Yeah.
If we should also take into account that G-Sync and VRR are becoming more and more the standard displays that people have, like TV supported. It's hard to find a TV that doesn't support it actually these days. So it's okay. It is absolutely okay if a game every once in a while can't hold the 60 stable, because you won't notice with VRR the dips if they go for a certain moment in the 50s. You wouldn't notice.
Yeah.
But yeah, just right out of the gate say, hey, 30 it is. It's just not cool anymore.
Yeah, I agree. And shout out to Paulie FC, member for 9 months. Thank you, sir. He says, shout out to the midweek mix-up panel. 60 frames a second should be a given. Yeah, we all agree on that. Absolutely. But yes, I think we'll round off that topic. I think
I was going to say, we should probably move on from that one.
Yeah.
It's a unanimous vote, isn't it?
Yeah.
60 or sod off.
But yeah, I'm gonna kind of appease Boxy as well in this next topic, because it will kind of tie into other things. But of course, we know later on this evening, eventually Konami are, after much speculation and joking around as to when a Silent Hill is going to come out, etc. Out of the blue, they posted a tweet. The future of Silent Hill is going to be unveiled on Wednesday at I've forgotten the time now, but it's late evening. I think it's 10 o'clock or something like that, 10, 11 o'clock.
Yeah, 10 p.m. here in the UK.
10 p.m. UK, okay, so 11 p.m. Europe. And essentially, that we will find out more about it there. Before I jump into that, actually, a quick shout out to 108 Dragons TV, $5 super chat, awesome panel. Thank you very much, sir. Hope you're enjoying the show as well. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thanks for coming, man.
Yeah, so other than that, the one thing I want to get into more, as well as the fact that, of course, we're getting a brand new Silent Hill eventually, thank God, is, of course, that a few people have already noticed the posting on the Konami and Silent Hill YouTube page ready for this live premiere of the show, or live stream. And it does show that it is coming to both Steam and PlayStation, but there is no links underneath for pre-order pages on Xbox or any suggestions. And rumors are so far that it has a 12-month exclusivity with PlayStation. Now, there's a reason I wanted to bring that up specifically, because, of course, we know this week, and Boxy, I'm going to appease you by discussing this, of course, the documents from Xbox really tearing into the CMA about things like exclusivity from PlayStation and the way that they do things, and their agreements with both Call of Duty, of which Microsoft are going to honor, essentially, even though that exclusivity means that it can't be on Game Pass for a number of years. first of all, let's dial it back a second. I want to discuss our thoughts on Silent Hill as a franchise. First of all, are we excited for the revival of it? Are we excited for it, knowing that Kojima probably isn't involved with this, knowing his relationship with Konami? Of course, the original PT that was unveiled years ago to be obviously the playable trailer for Silent Hills, produced by Kojima, with, of course, I've forgotten his name now. Jen will know.
Yeah, Guillermo del Toro.
No, the actor.
Oh, sorry, I was away. Norman Reedus.
Yes, with Norman Reedus, of course, as the main character. Of course, we know he ended up doing Death Stranding with him instead, and will be doing Death Stranding 2, as we know that's rumored to be in development. What are your? I'm going to go to Jen first because you enjoy horror games, but what's your thoughts and hopes for this? Of course, we've joked around. It's going to be an NFT. It's going to be X, Y, and Z. From what we've seen, it's going to be potentially, okay, these are rumors, but the listings show this as well. Leaked listings for a Silent Hill 2 remake, as well as
That's
two
the one
other
that's rumored
games.
to be by Bloober Team, right? The
Yes.
Silent Hill
Yeah.
2 remake.
And then two other, actually one other game and a movie, a new Silent Hill movie. But what's your thoughts on this franchise eventually coming back? And second to that, not being, of course, from Kojima, how do you expect Bloober Team to handle that?
I'll start with the Kojima thing first.
Yeah.
I mean, Kojima hasn't always been associated with Silent Hill until it came to that PT thing, right? So I'm not too bothered about that, as much as I would love to see Kojima's vision of
Yeah.
a Silent Hill game, because what he did with PT was freaking insane, and everything leading up to revealing it as a Silent Hill game, and then the footage that came afterwards, and then the unfortunate cancellation of that was very disappointing. And to this day, I am pissed off.
Yeah, 100%.
I hate Konami for that, because that would have been a great game to start the Silent Hill franchise off again.
Oh, absolutely.
Fortunately, that was quite some time ago, like, what, well over 5 years now, right?
Well, at least.
It's got to be well over 5 years now.
Yeah. If not 7.
But
it's a long time now.
In a way, I have minimal hope for this, but at the same time, I'm hopeful that Konami can pull this off.
Yeah.
But it is Konami. We know how they've been in recent years, focused on NFTs and pachinko machines, and they don't really care much about gaming, to be honest. We've seen them neglect the Silent Hill franchise for so long, as well as the Metal Gear Solid franchise, take advantage of their consumers that have been excited for these games to return, and then announce NFTs for things like Castlevania and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is disappointing to see, because we're gamers. We're not interested in the NFT side of things. We want the games, not the collectible items that live in fantasy land on the internet that we don't actually get to collect. But I'm hopeful. And I really hope that this does start off the Silent Hill franchise again, because it's been dearly missed by me and the fans, of course.
Yeah.
The fact that it's Bloober Team working on the Silent Hill 2 remake, I'm not too sure how I feel about that, because what I did play of the medium, I didn't really care too much for. I must have got about halfway through that game, and it wasn't much of a horror experience, in my opinion. There was one part in the game that was a jump scare, and I found myself getting bored of that game pretty quick. But it is a Silent Hill 2 remake, so surely they can't go wrong there, right? As long as they follow that formula and make it modern.
Your optimism.
As long as they as long as they stick to that formula of Silent Hill 2, they don't stray too far away from it, because it is a remake.
Yeah.
So we should expect it to be exactly what that is, a remake.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're going to probably change some things. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle combat, though.
Yes.
Especially on that level of Silent Hill.
Yeah, I agree.
I remain hopeful, but at the same time worried, because I know exactly what Konami have been like in recent years.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much all I've got to say on it. So maybe I'll be surprised at 10 p.m. And yeah, the fact that it's going to be probably a PlayStation timed exclusive isn't really much of a concern to me. I have a PlayStation now.
Yeah.
But it's disappointing if it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's plenty of fans out there that are on Xbox that would love to play this game.
Yeah.
I know Berserker, this is one of them. Jordan, who I meme a lot with the Gears of War stuff, but I know he's a huge fan of horror games, and it'd be disappointing if someone like that doesn't get to play one of his favorite horror franchises.
Yeah.
So who's the character out of Silent Hill?
The
Silent Hill 2, I actually can't remember the name of the main protagonist, to be honest.
So can we expect the Silent Hill protagonist with a bad haircut and goggles then?
yes.
Sure, there'll be a mod for that on PC at some point.
I'm just thinking of you memeing Jordan. That's it.
I'll find a way.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'll figure out how to mod it myself.
But yeah, for me personally, and I'll get to Boxenberger now because I've got a bit more of a loaded question for Boxy. For me personally, I enjoyed the medium, so I'm in a different way. Of course, I liked the story that it was going for. It wasn't so much a horror as it was. It was a bit creepy. I think Troy Baker at that time did the voice acting very. I didn't even realize it was him, but he did the voice acting very well for the kind of beast/demon thing that was in that game. And I did appreciate kind of the dual worlds thing that they had going on. It was more of a creepy game than it was a scary game. But I do appreciate those ones as well. Something that kind of keeps you on edge and keeps you thinking, and the world creeps you out a little bit. And I certainly enjoyed it, and I hope they make a medium too, personally, because I enjoyed the game enough. I got to the end of it, finished it. I've only got one or two things on it.
It had potential.
Yeah,
it had potential.
absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. So I hope, personally, that it's, of course, I want it to be better than the medium, but I think they've got potential at making a great Silent Hill. Of course, time will tell. What we saw of PT, and this is the only thing, is what we saw of PT is that PT was it did very well at portraying what we can expect from the game in terms of a horror and a scare, and it was truly a frightening game to play. Like, there were certain sections in that where you were just like, I'm absolutely not opening that door because I know what's going to happen. There is no chance I'm opening that door. And then you had these creepy sounds and you look up and there's that weird ghost woman just standing twitching on the balcony. You're like, oh, let's not. Or you'd walk around the corner. It was this ultimate loop where everything keeps refreshing. You're like, I've been here before. And then the lights are flickering and then noises and creaks and things are moving and you don't realize that they moved and you try to go back the other way and it's changed. You're like, it's such an inventive way of creeping you out, and kind of keeping you on edge, and it was just so well done. I hope that they can bring some of that feeling into Bloober Team's version of Silent Hill, a very creepy way of doing it. Boxy, for yourself, I know, of course, you, like me, enjoyed the medium somewhat. It had a lot of potential.
Yeah.
What are your hopes, first of all, for the Silent Hill announcement site, of course, tonight? And secondly, of course, on the timed exclusivity and the timing of that potential notification that yet another game is going to be timed exclusive to PlayStation in the midst of this argument with the CMA that Microsoft are trying to make exclusivities. Double barrel question, but go for it.
I sure will go for it. There's a lot to this. I mean, let's talk about Silent Hill first.
Yeah.
I really do hope that it is gonna be that game that we all want it to be. We all want it just to be like a Silent Hill 2.
Yeah.
I have my doubts, honestly. I truly do. And I know I might sound a little pessimistic here, but I'm not really faithful in Konami right now, so I'm not sure if we will get the game we want. Let me put it this way, yeah. I don't think that Konami is gonna do that and is gonna give it to us. I feel like what they are doing lately is so weird that I think this is gonna be like a I don't know, mobile game or maybe I don't know, an ongoing live service game with NFTs or something weird like that.
Yeah.
You had to say mobile game.
Of course.
Yeah.
Just for you, Jen.
So yeah, that's really what I'm not sure where they're going with this one. Again, I'm not really faithful there that they do the IP justice. So I hate to be the pessimist here, but
Yep.
people shouldn't get too excited about today. I don't expect that we will get any thing where we will sit tomorrow there and discuss it as being, yeah, we got this. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I hope I am wrong, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean,
And
we
about
saw
the
what they did with
exclusive.
Metal Gear Survive, right? So
Yeah, right. And about the exclusivity thing, yeah, that's an interesting question because, yeah, Dutch, Sony has been out there telling everyone how bad exclusives are and can be, and how difficult it is for them with everything that Microsoft is doing, you know. So yeah, let's wait and see if it will actually be one. But hey, Sony is not gonna change its ways. They are just not gonna change how they do or try to satisfy the video game industry
Yeah.
lately.
I honestly don't get why they're playing this game, because the CMA are going to do their investigation and see the bullshit Sony are talking about anyway.
Will it matter though?
Yeah. Yeah.
Will
Ultimately.
it matter?
Yeah.
Like it's you can also bring up a lot of counter arguments. Microsoft is also buying exclusivity deals, like a Stalker you could bring up. Yeah. So
Competition.
it's like, yeah, I'm with you, but I'm not sure how much the CMA will be with you. You know what I'm saying? This is the real question here. What's the intention of the CMA? Is the CMA just ignorant, and or is it really that they see like, okay, Microsoft, and still believe it's not, this entire thing is not about Xbox as a console. This is about Microsoft, the tech company.
Yeah.
They are scared of these giant tech companies taking over the world or whatnot, and that's what this is all about. This is not about the Xbox division per se. So yeah,
I think what it will likely come down to is more the fact that what's best for Activision.
Yeah.
Because without this deal going through, what happens to Activision then? Does it get split up? Developers and people that work for the company then forced to move elsewhere because the company's being diced up and sold off separately? I think at the end of the day, the investigation will lead to them coming down and thinking what is best for the company itself.
It's a possibility.
It's a possibility. We really don't know the outcome of this. But yeah, we won't change the way how Sony is handling these things.
Yeah,
we won't. They have found their way in how they are positioning themselves, and quite frankly, I mean, as a business unit, they are doing well, even though the last few reports weren't the record-breaking ones. They are still doing well as a business unit. They have a continuous stream of games coming, and they've had it for years now. So as a business unit itself, they are doing okay. Yeah, it's just us consumers that are not performing well. So that's why I don't, or why that are not getting treated the way we should get treated. And that's why, yeah, I think we will see. We will see if Sony is ever gonna change the way how they do business. Yeah.
Speaking of which, Boxy, because I wanted to tail end on that one when we're mentioning the way Sony are doing things. Of course, the rumor that, and I do want to touch on this because it is a funny rumor. The rumor, of course, that the reason that they have not or have delayed having a state of play currently regarding exclusive content and exclusive games potentially being in this showcase. They're intentionally not having this showcase to show off some of these games because it would essentially, it's bad timing considering that Microsoft are trying to push through a large transaction, and it would weaken their argument because apparently the games that they have lined up are a lot of exclusives or exclusivity agreements built into this showcase. Mick, what do you... it's a funny one. What do you make of this particular... You're muted, by the way. There you go. What do you make of this funny rumor that, of course, they're delaying a showcase on that potential bias that they've got a lot of exclusive content in their showcase that they want to show off but can't because, of course, it would weaken their argument that they're trying to put forward to the CMA for Microsoft not to acquire ABK?
Yeah, so I actually did watch a few videos about this actually recently, and it's quite an interesting one because they're gonna have to put, if it's true and they have got a showcase and all these things that they need to promote, which they can't hide because they'll have contract agreements with the different people that they've got exclusive deals with, and part of that contract will be, we will promote your game if you do this for, you give us exclusive content.
Yeah.
So they can't not do it. But if they don't do it, I believe that Microsoft actually have a very strong case to take them to court and also to the CMA and say they're actually, it's a defamation of profits or something like that. They were saying it's basically they are deliberately
misleading,
wounding themselves to make us look bad.
Yeah,
and that is a strong case.
But you can also put the case out there. You can also put the case out there that the fact is the CMA will come knocking to Sony and go, we need to know what you've got in the works. And they'll do the same for Xbox. They'll do the same for any other company that are coming to the table to talk about this deal. They will do it for all of them. And they'll learn what they want to learn.
Yeah.
It's like that meme, you know the meme that's been going around lately, the fuck around and find out meme?
Yeah.
It's that. It's basically that with Sony at the moment. And they're fucking around and they're going to find out.
So if it's true and they don't do a showcase when they've got all this stuff they need to promote because they feel like we don't need to because we're market leaders, we're going to sell these consoles anyway. It makes no difference to us.
Yeah.
Microsoft have a very strong case to take them to court and would almost certainly win in the case of the CMA and any of these investigations.
Especially with their big money lawyers.
Well, yeah, because they can prove that they are literally deliberately harming their own.
Well, one thing they did put into that apparently
make Microsoft look worse.
Yeah, well, apparently what they have put in there, which Microsoft have pointed out, is that Call of Duty makes them more money than internal documents show. So they're actually saying that you're saying that you're earning more from Call of Duty than we know you make. We have the internal documents from ABK. We know how much money you make from this game. You're saying it's higher. So this is what Microsoft have already said in rebuttal. So they're already pointing out some of the flaws and some of the things that they're saying. So they're kind of saying, you're lying. We know you're lying because we have the paperwork to show you're lying. It's weird. Such a weird way to go about it.
It's a weird one to go into a situation like that and if it's true, allegedly, let's use the allegedly,
Yeah.
you know, allegedly go in and say, oh, we only make this much money, when literally the company that's involved in the acquisition is the one that has the paperwork that proves how much that you are the one, how much that company is getting from it. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you've got to go and ask anybody else.
Yeah.
You just have to ring, the guy in accounts and just say, we need the paperwork for everything that's happened over that period.
Yeah.
Can you just send it through to us? And
The second thing for them on that front as well is the fact that they're saying ultimately, okay, hypothetically, and this is what Microsoft are saying, hypothetically, you lose 100% of your players that are playing Call of Duty on PlayStation. You're still significantly larger than we will ever be. Like, you're massive. But that's never going to happen. You're not going to lose 100% of the people that play on PlayStation that play Call of Duty.
I mean, Xbox used to have marketing rights with Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And a lot
Back
of those
on the 360.
people, and a lot of those people are still on the Xbox One, and now the Series consoles. They didn't leave.
Yeah.
They didn't care that there was stuff going on over there on PlayStation, because it just wasn't a big enough deal to lose all of their friends and all of the contacts that the people they play with on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Just to go and get, an extra shiny gun or, some DLC so many months earlier. It's just not worth it.
No.
So to say, like you said, in that case, it does say, even if 100% of the people that play Call of Duty move to us, you would still be bigger. But that wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Because
that's unrealistic to expect 100%
people move over. It just wouldn't happen.
No. It's just such a weird thing. But Boxy, I mean,
it's always going to be that portion of the player base that is fluid. They don't care where they game.
Yeah.
Exactly. Whatever platform is
casuals.
The platform that is most appealing in whatever generation it is in. And we saw that with the PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
And I was one of them. I primarily went PlayStation 4 because Xbox didn't really have anything to offer for me at that time.
Yeah. Boxy, what do you make of this funny rumor about the?
That's bullshit.
What do you make about it though? What if that is? What if there is some truth to it? What's your thoughts on that?
I don't think there's any truth to this. Listen, Sony isn't stupid. They know exactly where they are right now. They have one of their biggest games coming out very, very soon. They have a lot of stuff in the making, in the pipeline, and they know that Xbox doesn't have that this year. That's why we don't have a showcase from Sony. It's simply because they don't need it. Next year, I feel like Sony is gonna have a pipeline issue next year, just as much as Microsoft did this year.
Yeah.
And that's when they need this showcase, and that's when they need the excitement and hype and everything that comes with such a showcase. And then we will get one, because I truly believe that they have a pipeline issue next year.
100%.
So but it has nothing to do with the ABK deal. I don't think so. This is just them trying to see, hey, do we really need to show our cards right now, or do we do that when Microsoft is bringing out Starfield, and we don't have anything to counter them that particular year?
Well, according to, I believe Insomniac came out and said Spider-Man 2 is still on track for next year.
Yeah, I know.
We'll see.
Do you believe it?
Yeah.
Do you? That's the question. Do you believe that?
To be honest, I didn't believe God of War was coming out this year, and that came around and slapped me in the face.
So it's a good question.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's still on track.
But even saying that, that's one game.
Yeah.
Like they have, if they only for Sony, if they only
Absolutely.
bring out one game next year, that's Like for them, that's a terrible year. It really is. Even if it is Spider-Man, it's a bad year. We know because Microsoft have just had that this year when they've had 0 games. Like we don't include Deathloop because let's face it, Deathloop is already been out. As great as it
They
is.
might have the Horizon remake next year as well.
Oh God.
Come on, I had to be a bit cheeky there.
But yeah.
Well, we might get the factions thing from The Last of Us 2.
I expect that to come out end of next year.
We'll see.
Possibly beginning of 2024.
We'll see. Because they themselves, Naughty Dog, have said we'll let you know when we've got something more to talk about, and they only showed artwork.
Honestly, if that's gonna be like revealed properly, that gets revealed at the Game Awards.
Yeah, I agree. And of course, we've still got that coming out, so we might still yet see something from Sony at the Game Awards. We don't know.
Yeah,
we shall see.
Although Sony hasn't had the biggest presence
I agree.
typically at the Game Awards, but still, could be.
Yeah.
I'm just going with the fact that it was at Jeff's show that the remake for Last of Us was unveiled, and they also talked about the TV show and the fact that Factions is in the works.
Yeah.
I kind of expect at least one thing PlayStation from the Game Awards.
At least one. That's right. Yeah, I agree. Last mini topic here, and it's a little bit more of an upbeat one. Of course, a nice little one to finish it all off, but we probably have all seen this now, but there was a leaked image going around from a very early build, or an earlier build, of Avowed. Of course, Jez Corden confirmed that in fact was true. It was an earlier image from Avowed. However, it is a much earlier build, and according to Jez Corden, of course, who we've heard in the past that he has seen the game, he has seen parts from it, so he has some knowledge of the game and a little bit more intricacy than we ever do. That it has moved direction in a good way. It's coming along very well. It looks great. It looks fantastic. And he's happy from what he's seen so far. But an awesome little image, at least, as to what we can kind of come and expect. And this one was, of course, a very old, low resolution image of course, the hands that we saw in the original kind of unveiling trailer, with the magic, etc. But Mick, I know you're excited for Avowed, kind of this mini little tease as to kind of a world we can look to expect, specifically from Obsidian, which a proven track record of creating great games. How hyped are you now for just even that little tease of the world of Avowed?
Yeah, it's kind of right up my street. Skyrim was always one of my favorite games. Big fan of all the fables. It's one of those sort of it fits all the right, ticks all the right boxes for me.
Yeah.
Even though for what we know of it, so fingers crossed. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. This image looks good, for considering what it is.
Yeah.
And I know Jez Corden probably, I can't remember, it was the beginning of this year or the end of last year, was saying that he'd heard that it was a lot closer
than we thought
it was going to be.
Yeah.
So he was thinking that it might have even been out this year. Now we're pretty sure that's not happening now, but maybe next year. Maybe it's something we get.
Please,
nice.
please
Yeah,
let
no.
for next year.
Please, but it's another one. If it is like Boxy said before, it's going to be a stacked year.
Yeah.
If these games do come out next year, which we're hoping it does happen.
Yeah.
Honestly, I believe that Avowed is going to be a 2023 title. Sorry. We've heard it many times that the game is pretty far along in development. A lot of people thought it might even come this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Including myself, honestly, from what I've heard. And so yeah, it would make sense for them to have that as a holiday title 2023. We know about the first half, or at least the plans for the first half. And then Avowed for the holiday season would absolutely make sense. And yes, the game looks cool on that screenshot. We've heard also that they had multiple changes in direction. Yes, we had also heard that they switched to Unreal 5. So the shot we've seen is from an older build, and we all assume, well, then that means that's still on Unreal 4.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a fantastic game. Obsidian, one of the best studios Microsoft has. I'm also a huge Skyrim fan. I think Skyrim is one of the best games ever made, honestly, and I love Obsidian games.
Yeah.
So yeah.
See, on that front as well, in terms of Obsidian specifically, Boxy, like they've made some of my most interesting and favorite games so far, anyway. And even most recently for me, of course, we've all just started getting into Grounded, and at first we weren't quite sure, but
yeah,
that's a small slice of that studio, and look what they've managed to create in Grounded. And then you have a look at
a 12-man team, isn't it? Or something like that.
Yeah,
12-person team.
I think it started off as like 10 or 12, and then it went up to about 30.
Yeah, to scale up a little bit.
Still impressive.
Still small, though,
impressive.
You know what I mean? Not that much.
But aside from that, of course, we know they've still got Outer Worlds 2. Outer Worlds 1 was phenomenal. Absolutely loved that game. That was one of the first kind of Fallout-esque games.
Outer Worlds was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it was one of the first Fallout-esque games that I actually thoroughly enjoyed, because I'm not a massive Fallout fan. But that one I just loved. I loved the writing. I loved the way it wrapped up the story at the end and told you how your decisions affected the universe that you'd played in. Such a great game, but that quality, and of course we know from people who have played Pillars of Eternity, and they thoroughly enjoy that universe, knowing that they're making one of their kind of more renowned kind of open world RPG games in the Pillars of Eternity universe. I think that is really exciting. I'm looking forward to kind of seeing what this is all about. And like we've heard, like Boxy mentioned, this game on multiple occasions has been told it's going to be much sooner than we thought, and it should have been potentially this year. Is that maybe an internal decision from Microsoft to say, listen, we really don't have anything for this year. Why put it out? Like, we may as well give you the extra time because we've had a crap year anyway, and just do it next year. Like, have the extra time, polish it up, do what you need to do, and next year we'll just go all out. That from a real perspective, from Microsoft's point, they just went. I personally think that's a potential as to why they might have pushed that game back. Maybe it's not even because it wasn't ready, but because why push it out when we've literally got nothing else around it? There's nothing. Like, we'll just put loads of stuff in Game Pass. We'll entertain people that way. Next year, we'll make sure the first party hits it out the park. From a strategic point of view, Jen, what's your thoughts on Avowed as well? Are you hyped for it?
Of course I am. I replayed Skyrim this year, and I've been thinking about wanting to play this. I can't wait for this to come out. And why did it have to leak today? Because now I want to install Skyrim again.
Don't do that to Boxy, because you'll get him wanting to install Skyrim again.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's probably already installed.
It's one of those games that never leaves my Xbox. It's always on there.
Like, from this picture though, and like the way like the magic moves around the hands is very Doctor Strange, and I think that's a cool touch.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see more. And this is just one screenshot.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm this close away from reinstalling Skyrim again for like the God knows how many time this year.
Don't worry about it.
To be honest, I actually think I've still got it installed. I don't think I ever uninstalled it when I completed it recently again.
I have to say, if they put more achievements in that another remaster.
Just make another account, Mick. Just make another account.
Because I've already got all the achievements and that. And
can you not just download it on PC, and do you not get the achievements for the PC version?
If they put the PC version and put a set of pieces, the same achievements put on PC, I would have played it again.
Yeah. But yeah,
I'm hyped for this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I say, for me, there's a certain amount of studios that you trust in bringing out quality. Obsidian for me is one of them. Ninja Theory's another.
Obsidian are really carrying Xbox at the moment. They've put out a lot of good
Outer
games.
Worlds 2 of the works.
last
You've
few
got
years.
Avowed. You've got obviously Grounded continuing. They've said after
And then
that.
Outer Worlds 2 in the works.
After
kind
that,
of-
they've mentioned after that, after Outer Worlds 2 and Avowed, they're looking to do another Fallout, and get into Fallout
That would be
again.
cool.
So
New Vegas sequel or remake.
yeah,
The one.
and
We
they
definitely need that, honestly, because like when is a proper Fallout 5 gonna come out realistically?
yeah.
We have
Yeah, decade.
Starfield in 23. After that, they already confirmed that they will work on Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah.
So that's probably a launch title for the next gen consoles then.
Yeah.
We're
I don't
all
know,
going to be
28?
very old when Fallout 5 comes out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. I'm
Gonna be in my
gonna
50s.
make retirement plans for that game, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I'll be in my 50s by that point. Mick will be retired.
Yeah. Man, I wish I could retire with 50. But yeah, it's
But yeah, it's super exciting, of course, and like I say, we're coming to that point of the year now where there is still a lot of games to come out. We've still got a lot of exciting things to come, of course. This month we've still got, of course, if those are still interested, Gotham Knights. You've got Call of Duty, then you've got God of War. You've still got High on Life. You've still got Callisto Protocol. There's numerous games still to look forward to. Of course, Plague Tale Requiem is still out. If you haven't played it, I urge everyone to go and play it. You will enjoy it. We're getting to that tail end of the year now where we're kind of wrapping things up. We have a last couple of bits of announcements. Apparently, there is a Resident Evil showcase as well tomorrow. So we'll see how that
I
goes.
totally forgot about that.
Yeah. So you've got...
Can't wait to see more Resident Evil 4 remake.
Yeah.
I'm hyped for that too.
Silent Hill, Resident Evil, of course, and then the latter end, of course, of this year, we wrap up with the Game Awards, and then we start what is a mammoth 2023, which is already overloaded with games. I say bring on 2023. Not that I'm not looking forward to the games that are still come out this year, but next year is going to be insane. On all fronts.
People's wallets are going to be very, very light next year.
Unless you're on at Microsoft, in which case you save a lot of money.
You'll save a bit more money, yeah. But for the games that are not coming into Game Pass,
yeah,
there's going to be an
Yeah.
impact on people's wallets.
absolutely.
However, we get so many great games in Game Pass. I think that's the thing we need to focus on because
Mhm.
it's amazing what we will get next year out of Game Pass.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But that ought about wrap up the show. Awesome show again. Very good topics, very good discussions. Thank you again to everybody who tuned in and those who are yet to tune in, of course, on demand later on. I hope you enjoyed the show today, and if you did, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And of course, hit the notification bell because, of course, YouTube is never very friendly when it comes to showing us going live or having gone live or adding new content. So please make sure you tick that and click all so you know when our new content goes live and is up. But let's get to the outros because, of course, we've got a lot of awesome content creators as part of this panel with a lot of awesome shows and a lot of awesome channels. So first of all, Boxy, you've got some awesome things coming up. And, of course, your show tomorrow. Let people know where they can find you and what you've got coming up on your channel.
Yeah, in case people haven't already found me, Boxenberger everywhere. Very easy on every platform. You can find me there. And yes, we do have our little show tomorrow, Dutch. The World of Gaming. It's gonna be awesome. We haven't done a show with just the two of us in a while now. We've always had a guest. Tomorrow it's just gonna be the two of us, and it's gonna be awesome. And next week we're gonna have a super special thing that was originally scheduled actually for this week, but we had to move it to next week. We will have Keokeen, developers of Deliver Us Moon and Mars, as a guest, and we will have a special showcase for that on Tuesday, 5 p.m. Central Europe. That's 2 p.m. No, hang on. That's 11 a.m. Eastern or 4 p.m. UK time. We will have the CEO of Keokin and a technical artist joining us for 45 minutes interview, and it's going to be awesome. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff coming up here.
Yeah, awesome stuff, awesome stuff. Really excited for that. Of course, we know you're a huge fan of Deliverous Moon and Deliverous Mars, so I know you're super excited to talk to them about that.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a great show, and again, congratulations for getting that one lined up. I know it took some work, but awesome stuff. Really looking forward to doing that with you. But yes, of course, if you don't already follow Boxenberger, I don't know why you haven't by this point, by the way, but if you don't already follow Boxenberger, you can, of course, follow him at Boxenberger everywhere. It's nice and easy to find. And, of course, now with the new YouTube handles that we all have, simply typing in Boxenberger will find you the channel. Nice and easy.
That makes it easy, right?
Yes, indeed. Next up, Jimerul C. Let people know, of course, where they can find you, brother, and what you've got coming up. Of course, you've just recently revamped your YouTube channel. So what you got coming up?
Back to making videos. I'm making a slight change of what I wanted to do with videos. I'm going to push more Hunt Showdown content. I put a little video out yesterday. I was in a silly mood when I recorded that, and I thought maybe if I do more videos like this, it won't be too much pressure for me to like write a script, try and read the script without messing up multiple times, because that kind of freaks me out, having to retake things multiple times, and I get caught up in my own head. So I'm gonna do some stuff in Hunt Showdown where I just sit there, play the game, talk a few things about some skins in the game and how I think they can be improved and such like that. If you want to check that out on my channel, The General C, I put a silly little video out yesterday. That's probably the style content I'm going to be pushing for going forward. And obviously I stream as well. No stream this Saturday because I actually remembered I'm recording with Thistledew Gaming for their Halloween video. So that should come out the week after the recording's done.
Nice.
And I'm back to streaming on Monday, God of War. I've been playing that. I played that on Monday, just gone. Really enjoying playing that again. And playing that on PS5 is very nice.
Yes, indeed. Last but not least, of course, Xbox Mick, the new host of Sea of Tuesday's Playcast. Let people know where they can find you, of course, and what you've got coming up.
Still sounds weird. Yeah, so I had a few unboxing videos recently, so things are starting to pick up. Stuff is starting to actually be delivered.
Yeah,
a lot of it which has been sat in, in shipping containers, in some port somewhere. So finally, Royal Mail have started to do their job and start delivering stuff, which has been nice. So I got some unboxing videos. Got another one coming out for some of the U2's figurines that I got from Sea of Thieves, the Sea of Thieves ones. So that's cool.
I'm really interested in seeing those U2s because I've been close to buying some U2s in the past.
Really good. They're a bit more expensive than your Funko Pops, but there's a lot more detail in them. They really are. I mean, I'll show you the this one here. So this is the ship.
Yes. Oh, that's really cool.
And I don't know whether it'll show up if I turn the light off, but it's wrong side. No, it doesn't really show up. It does glow quite a lot in the dark. It's quite impressive.
That's cool.
Sadly, this one turned up and the top bit of the mast was already broken inside the box. But the nice people at U2's instantly just said, "Not a problem. We'll send you another one out free of charge."
Nice.
So,
yeah.
You know where that looked cool, Mick? Next to your Glow in the Dark Series X that Dutch made you. I rewatched that video yesterday because my dad was interested in seeing Dutch's custom work. So I put that video on and he was amazed by that.
Nice. Thank you. So there's so I got some of them, and then obviously we've got the Sea of Tuesdays playcast, which we're doing now. So that's every Tuesday. So feel free to come along. Anybody that's watching, anybody that's interested in Sea of Thieves, or even just interested in talking to some of the people that we're going to have guesting on the shows.
Yeah.
And obviously, also my regular stream with Sightless Combat on Sundays. Last week we played some Gears of War. So
nice.
Yep.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. And of course, chaps, you can find me absolutely everywhere at Wondering Dutch. And of course, every Tuesday, of course, for Sea of Thieves Playcast. The great thing about this podcast is that it is hosted from multiple locations. So it is on multiple channels. You can find us pretty much everywhere for Sea of Tuesday's Playcast. The General C's perspective, Xbox Mix perspective, my perspective, Parent Plug's perspective, and we never know in the future. Maybe even get Chris to do it. We'll see. But multiple locations, of course. Make sure to tune in to those. And of course, make sure you follow all of these awesome guys. You'll find me later on this evening, of course, for Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and friends. Tomorrow, you will see me, of course, across on the Box and Burgers channel for World of Gaming. And then back again on Sunday for the weekend edition. But thanks again to everybody who tuned in again tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show. Have an awesome evening, and we will see you all again next time. Goodbye.
Take care.